Hi, this is Maker's Ask, and I'm Blue. Today I'm going to do the second part in the series called From Concept to Completion of a Painting. So I covered the topic, okay, I have an idea, now what do I do? And we talked a little bit about photography. If you didn't see that one, you might want to go see that one first. Then what to do next. So after I take the photography, and for me it's important to do that to avoid copyright problems, but also because then I have control of what my elements are that are going to be in my painting. And assuming, of course, that I want to represent things accurately, it's really nice to have them on hand. So in the series that I've just started, it's called Playing the Devil's Advocate, and it has in it a skull, and the skull represents knowledge in painting. So I use that in different ways to signify this or that. So I want to show you, I set up and took this photograph for one this one is called I Need to Hear You Say I'm Sexy. She's very sexy in her sparkly wig. Anyways, it goes from this to this completed painting. See? So I'm going to show you how to go from one to the other and what the steps are in that. So this is what's called a cradled panel. And what I'm going to show you can be done on anything from paper to, you know, a primed canvas or whatever. I just happen to, for this series, be using these great cradled panels, and then I use a cracked surface on them because it adds to my concept. Not because it's cool, but it is cool, but I think. But it's because it works for the concept. A cracked skull is better than a pretty one for what I'm doing. So I took the time to set up and photograph my skull over here. And for this one I used gels over the top of the lighting and stuff, and I took a cardboard box and painted the inside black. I'll show you this. So this is the cardboard box that I made. It's very high tech. And then there's Jake. Say hi, Jake. Hello. He's my skull, and then I used this gel on top of my lights so that I could photograph him through it, because I wanted, for that one, I wanted a real sort of a sexy feel. A red light is, you know, sexy. So that's how I did that. Okay, so then I've got my photographs done, and I found that I have to take those photographs from my camera and print them out using my computer. So while I'm there on my computer, I used to do this by hand. I found out so much faster to do it on the computer. So to do an accurate drawing of a photograph that I set up, I want it to look a lot like the photograph, and then I want to have artistic license to make it more colorful or move things around a little bit. But hopefully I did a lot of that hard work during the photography stage and did a lot of the shifting around and getting really creative there, so that I would have something very accurate to be able to help me to represent accurately. That's the point, right? Take away the headaches. So what I did was I took the photograph. This one is called We've Always Done It This Way. So she's got her old-fashioned hat, which I'm gonna actually change the colors of, I think, and make it more of a girlier looking hat than just green. But I took the time to take it into my program and put lines on it to grid it off, and then I'll put lines on here. But I print out 2 copies, and I put them in these page protectors, because then I can paint from them and really see the colors. So this one has, in this case, red lines across it to grid it off, and this one's a high quality photograph that I'm gonna use to paint from, which is important. You'll see that in step 3 of the videos. Okay, so I've got it to this stage. I've got these lines on here. The next thing I'm gonna do is mimic the same number of lines. That'll be important. Don't put 4 lines here if you have 3 here. Don't do that. I've done that, that's why I'm saying. I've done that and gone, oh God. Dumb mistakes. At any rate, I've got this quadrant off into about 9 sections. And this helps me to transfer a drawing. I love the experience of drawing. Drawing is wonderful. And I know people use projectors to get drawings on canvas or whatever, and that's fine. If you work that way, that's great. But for me, that drawing process is not skippable, because when I draw, it helps me to understand things better. So, and since painting is so much about construction, the drawing process to me is just necessary. I do better paintings if I've drawn first, because then I understand it. And then when I get confused about what is this thing back here, I don't know why that has that slit in the eye or whatever, I can go over to my thing that I've photographed that I actually own. It's right in front of me, and look, oh, that's what it is. Because if I don't understand this, there's no way I can convince the viewer that, you know, that it's real. And that's my point with representational drawing. Or painting, I have to be able to convince the viewer that it's real, you know, to be able to make my point. Does that make sense? So if I can't figure it out, there's no way I can convince somebody else. It's like trying to be a tutor for a subject you don't understand. It's useless. Okay, so now I'm gonna do this, and you can watch me put the lines on here, but I think I'm gonna speed that up because you'll be bored. So I have found that my favorite thing to draw lines with is this compressed charcoal. It doesn't tend to go anywhere, and if I'm gonna do an underpainting, this is gonna be an oil painting, but if I do an underpainting in acrylic, which often I do, at least to get the values right, this doesn't go anywhere, which is great, because if I put a light color like the colors of a skull into this, we have gray. I hate that. So if I use this one seems to stay here better than pastel, and it shows up better than pencil. I used to do pencil lines too. But pastel is great, but it doesn't stick as well as this one does. So compressed charcoal is my favorite. A ruler for very straight lines. If you're gonna use a grid to help you get things correct, so if I'm gonna try and transfer this drawing from this grid onto this, it's really important that I have my grid correct. Otherwise, why am I using a grid? So take the time, don't eyeball it, don't guess. I've done that. See, I get to teach all these videos, I get to make all these videos and things because I've made so many mistakes that I'm now an expert on mistake making. Yay! Okay, my grid's now on this, and I'm hunching so you can see. Now I'm going to transfer this drawing. So I like the grid because I like a flowing drawing, but this is really easy to help me get the angles right. It comes down about this far, it goes over about this much, down, and then I get the drawing on there fairly accurately, which is the point. Okay, so here goes nothing. Okay, I think I've got it on there the way that I want, and now I'm going to take a step back and just take a good look at it and see if what I think close up is true also from far away. Okay, a couple of little changes. What I'm using here now is yellow pastel, and the yellow will mix with the pigments that go on it because it's a pastel. But the yellow is kind of close enough in colors that I'm using that it doesn't seem to bother. So I don't have a perfect solution, but this is so far the best thing I've found. I'm gonna do now what I would call a value study. Mostly make sure that I understand the construction and that I'm able to turn the form. So I do that sort of underpainting in acrylic, and it's just a process of kind of scrubbing dark on to see if what I think is true is still true. So here we go. Now I'm done with the one that has the grid on it for the most part. So I'm gonna set that aside where I can still see it, but I'm actually gonna work from this better photograph. So I'm gonna have this on hand as I now put on the darkest darks with my acrylic paint. Okay, I'm gonna take another step back. Yeah, I think I like it. So to me, this underpainting is still like a part of the drawing process. Like, I really understand where the darkest darks are really gonna be. So that's why I included it in this, you know, before you get to canvas, third part of this video series. So that's all I'm gonna do for now. I'm gonna stop this. I hope that was helpful for you, and that you don't skip the drawing process either. It's so important. I really believe that your paintings will be more successful if you take the time to both do the drawing and do a value study, so that you can really be convincing about the form turning. I think that's half the battle. The color and stuff that's just fun. Okay, this has been Maker's Ask, and this is Blue.